Hey, what's up, guys? Chris Nelson here. It's Monday, October 16, 2023. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. And of course, praying for Israel every day that they win. And remembering that, guys, look, if Hamas, a terrorist organization, had not launched a terrorist attack on Israel, killing civilians and people that were having fun at a music festival, and paraglided in and murdered innocent people, then there wouldn't be this problem. Do you see that? So when I see all these people that are saying that, oh, it's humanitarian, we gotta stop the genocide, and who brought this? Okay? This was started by the terrorists in Gaza, okay? If they hadn't done that, then we wouldn't be here right now. And DeSantis wouldn't have to be sending over DeSantis Airlines to rescue people. And unfortunately, the Biden administration has not done their job here. Please, by the way, like and share this around. I hope everybody had a great weekend. And let's listen to DeSantis. DeSantis Airlines has brought home now over 300 people from the war zone. And let's listen.
We're here at Tampa Airport. We are having our first flight of people being rescued from Israel. It has landed. Over 260 people that wanted to get back to the United States couldn't do it. There was a devoid of leadership, so we stepped up and led. We're happy to be able to deliver this. So we're getting ready to welcome them back to the United States of America. We're here at Tampa Airport.
There's your guy. And no, there's not only a void in leadership with Biden, but there's also a void in leadership on the Republican side with Trump, who has taken this opportunity to attack the president of Israel, the prime minister of Israel, during wartime. Now, DeSantis appeared on Face the Nation this weekend. Let's listen to that.
We go now to Florida Governor and Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, and he joins us from Tallahassee. Good morning to you, Governor.
Good morning.
You're running to be the next commander-in-chief, so I want to focus on some of the crises we're seeing right now. You were once a Navy JAG, which means you advised on the law of armed conflict. With Israel about to launch this invasion of Gaza, I wonder what you would advise them in terms of distinguishing between legitimate targets and civilians.
Well, one, Israel has a right to defend itself to the hilt, and that means the complete elimination of Hamas, the eradication of their terrorist infrastructure. Israel has put out warnings to civilians about where Israel is going to conduct operations and has told civilians there to leave the area. Hamas is telling those civilians to stay in the area. So they're using the civilians as human shields. So, of course, when you're in war, you want to avoid that. But if there are civilian casualties, that's the fault of Hamas. That's not going to be the fault of Israel.
But would you advise, for example, the Israeli military to avoid attacking infrastructure to provide water and electricity as they have done?
Well, Margaret, the Hamas is holding people hostage still. You have Israelis being held hostage as well as Americans being held hostage.
I understand
I don't think they're under, but I don't think they're under an obligation to be providing water and these utilities while those hostages are being held. Hamas should return those hostages before any discussions are had. And it's a disgrace what they're doing, and Israel has every right to use all the pressure that they can to get those people back.
There are 2.3 million people living in Gaza. Collective punishment is something you support?
It's not collective punishment. Hamas is the one that is creating this predicament. Hamas is the one who always uses civilian targets to conduct operations. And we dealt with this some in Iraq, where al-Qaeda in Iraq would commandeer mosques. So under normal circumstances, of course, you don't target a religious institution. But if you have terrorist groups that are converting that in to a base of operations, then you absolutely treat that as military targets. But that's because Hamas is making those decisions to convert that infrastructure into the use for terrorist purposes.
Is there any caution you would give to the Israeli military? Would you ask, for example, the Prime Minister to hold off until the 500 to 600 Americans who are trapped in Gaza manage to get out?
Well, look, I think that that's something in terms of those that, of course, you would have discussions with. We would be willing to do, if I was president, apply resources to be able to help any American who is either being captured or in harm's way. I would note, I, as governor of Florida, have actually launched flights to bring Americans home from the war zone now. We're going to have the first flights landing in Florida today. We're going to bring hundreds of people back from Israel to the state of Florida, and they've had trouble dealing with the federal government. So, of course, that's an important thing that you want to consider.
Right. But there are 500 to 600 Americans stuck in Gaza specifically. And let me ask you a little bit more about that, because of the 2 million people who live in Gaza, half of them are under the age of 18. Let's take a listen to something you said yesterday.
We cannot accept people from Gaza into this country as refugees. I am not going to do that. If you look at how they behave, not all of them are Hamas, but they are all anti-Semitic.
I'm sure you know all Arabs are Semites, but how can you paint with such a broad brush to say 2.3 million people are anti-Semitic?
Well, first of all, my position is very clear. Those Gaza refugees, Palestinian Arabs, should go to Arab countries. The U.S. should not be absorbing any of those. I think the culture, so they elected Hamas. Let's just be clear about that. Not everyone's a member of Hamas. Most probably aren't, but they did elect Hamas.
In 2006, and then the military occupation happened after that, where they went in and haven't allowed elections since 2007. So in 2006, there was an election.
But there was a lot of celebrating of those attacks in the Gaza Strip by a lot of those folks who were not Hamas. But if you look at their education system, this has been an issue for a long time. They teach kids to hate Jews. The textbooks do not have Israel even on the map. They prepare very young kids to commit terrorist attacks. So I think it's a toxic culture. And I think if we were to import large numbers of those to the United States, I think it would increase anti-Semitism in this country, and I think it would increase anti-Americanism in this country. And that's something, after seeing those demonstrations pop up in our country, just with blood still flowing amongst Israeli citizens over the weekend, you had people taking to the streets cheering on the barbarism of Hamas in our own country. That was a chilling thing to see, and I don't think that that's something that we should ever think is acceptable.
No, but no one's talking about getting Gazan refugees here right now. They can't even get out of Gaza at the moment.
Well, people have mentioned it. I think some of the far left have said this is something that we should do. The U.S. has done similar things in the past, and so I just put my stake in the ground. Okay. That's where we're going to be, and I think that everyone running for president on the Republican side should follow suit.
Governor, we have more conversation to be had on the other side of this commercial break, but I have to take that right now, so if you'll stay with us, please. And we hope all of you will stay with us. We'll be right back.
Oh, and here is the thing, collective punishment. And boy, he said this right on. I mean, he was absolutely right on when he said this, that this is a country that they elected these guys, okay? And you hear these people on the left that are always preaching against anti-Semitism, but now you see people like BLM, you see people like Antifa in this country, Miami Antifa, having demonstrations celebrating the terrorist attack that happened and the killing of innocent Jews, okay? And he has the moral clarity here to say this, okay? Trump will not say this, all right? Biden probably won't say it. And actually, it's just crazy to even think that actually Biden has been more pro-Israel in this than Trump has. Biden hasn't attacked Netanyahu. Biden hasn't whined and complained about Israel. That's the stuff you'd expect from somebody like him. But Trump has. All right? So in this country, you have Antifa, BLM, and all these people on the left that are out there celebrating. There was a Black Lives Matter Broward demonstration over the weekend, just over the weekend, that where they were standing with the terrorists, and they're saying, "Oh, hey, ho, ho, Zionism has got to go," and this kind of stuff. I'm going to hit you with part 2 of that interview here. But, you know, you got these jerks, and now they've blocked me. But these guys here in Antifa, the guys that say that they are they're gonna make sure to identify anybody who's a fascist, who's anti-Semitic, and we're gonna make sure to expose who they are. And here are these guys. They were marching. They were marching with Hamas or pro-Hamas down there on Friday in Miami. Just disgusting. Disgusting. And then we saw Black Lives Matter over the weekend. And here is Black Lives Matter protesting. Look at this. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Zionism has got to go. And this is that woman who was speaking at the Broward Commission meeting. This is, her name is Tiffany Burks. This is the one that was speaking at the Broward Commission meeting when the two commissioners got up and walked out. And here they are. Here they are for all to see. And these are the people that the people on the left and Democrats really applauded. And, you know, I've talked to some of these Broward Democrats. You know, I even talked to Steve Geller, my arch nemesis during the fake pandemic. Shook his hand and we said, hey, look, we have to stand with Israel. And I asked some of these local Broward politicians, Lauren Book, who is good friends with the delegate to Miami, the Israeli delegate to Miami. The Israeli defense spokesman retweeted what we did there. What happened when Tiffany Burks spoke in favor of Hamas, and then two commissioners, Michael Udine and Steve Geller, walked out or turned in their chairs. And we don't agree on a heck of a lot of things, but I said to them, I was like, what do you think about this, about BLM standing with these guys? And a lot of it was, well, we didn't know, you know? And I do believe that. I think there's people that did not believe that they had that they were this much hatred towards Israel. But here they are. You can't deny it now. It's just like with Fauci. It's just like with the COVID stuff. Look, you can claim that you didn't know at the beginning, but at this point, you can't deny it now. It's right in your face. BLM and Antifa. And you know, if they have a position that they don't believe that Israel has a right to be in that land, you know, everybody can have their own opinion. But here's where it comes in. They are celebrating terrorist attacks, okay? They're not condemning this stuff. They're not out there condemning this. So Jews get attacked, Jews get killed, and there's Antifa celebrating it. Okay, and here's guys like Brits for Trump, Suleiman Ahmed, Free Palestine. This guy got fact-checked how many times? I told you, look at this. Look at how many times this guy gets community noted with anti-Israel propaganda. I talked about this last week. All this guy has been doing is anti-Israel propaganda over and over and over again. This is where community notes come in. Oh, look, Jews killed this baby. Oh, look, they killed this reporter. Oh, look. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, look, they blew up this church. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. So, I mean, how much does this go on? And Sheikh Suleiman and these guys, they're all Trump supporters. Khalees, Sheikh Suleiman, all these people that you hear in these spaces, they're all very anti-DeSantis, very pro-Trump. And I would say that they're anti-DeSantis because of this. Let's go with part two of this is Ron DeSantis on Face the Nation yesterday with Margaret Brennan. Let's go with part two. And let me pull this up on the screen. This is going to be a short stream today because I got a lot of stuff to do today. All right, let's go. Here is the leader right now.
Welcome back to Face the Nation. We continue our conversation now with Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, thanks for sticking with us through that break. I want to pick back up. You just heard the president's national security advisor say that the request to Congress will be for well beyond $2 billion in support. That is for Israel. That is for Ukraine. In the past, you said you don't want a blank check to Ukraine. Do you want a blank check to Israel?
No, I think that there's actually two different things. One, with Israel, we've provided a lot of support since its inception, about $158 billion in the last 75 years. We've done over $120 billion just for Ukraine in 2 years. So it's a different level that we're talking about. Also with Israel, they've never asked us to displace their responsibility. They take their defense very seriously. What we do complements and supplements what they're already doing for themselves, but they are not going to ask us to fight this war for them. We have a long-standing security relationship. They're a very strong and long-standing ally, and we'll be willing to support in the traditional ways that we have.
There are no U.S. troops fighting in Ukraine.
No, but Margaret, what Biden's policy is a blank check, in his own words, for as long as it takes. They have not articulated what the concept of victory is going to be. In fact, people have said this is going to go on for another 5 or 6 years. That would require potentially hundreds of billions of dollars more. We're not just sending weapons. We're paying salaries for Ukrainian bureaucrats, funding small business ventures, all kinds of things. So I think if you look, as you mentioned Iraq, and I served there, our foreign policy the last 20, 30 years has suffered when we don't have a clear concept of victory, when we have conflicts like Iraq and like Afghanistan, where we don't have a clear resolution. So he owes a strategy to the Congress, and I think most Republicans, or a lot of the Republicans in the Congress, are going to insist on that before they authorize additional money.
We don't have a clear definition of success from the Israeli prime minister either. I asked the national security advisor, and he just said generally
I actually think we do.
The Jewish state.
I think we do, with all respect. I mean, I think he has said that it is the total and complete defeat of Hamas, where they're no longer existing as a functioning entity. I think that is achievable. I think Israel can do that, and I think they have every right, and indeed, I think they have the duty to do that.
So what is your view then on who should rule the 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza? Do you fundamentally believe that they have a right to their own state, or do you want Israel to maintain a military occupation after they go through this invasion?
Well, Israel's not occupying it. They pulled out in 2005.
Right, but they're about to invade.
Now, they're obviously... Well, no. Well, of course. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, I would say this. There have been generous offers by Israel to provide Palestinian Arab states. Of course, you go back to 1948. They had an opportunity to have an Arab state, and the Arabs rejected it and went to war. So they've always cared more about eliminating the Jewish state than they have about receiving their own state. And I'm not sure that that's changed in terms of their outlook.
Who is
so
they?
We'll see what happens as this... Excuse me?
I'm sorry, who is they?
The Palestinian Arabs in both the West Bank and Gaza, their
the Palestinian
view has
Authority
always
is
been...
moving towards a two-state solution. That's why I asked if you had support for a two-state solution.
Well, they've rejected that in the past. Arafat rejected it in 2000. It was a ridiculous deal. It probably would have put Israel in situations where they would have had some serious security concerns, but they were willing to go forward. And I think the history of the last 75 years, Israel has always been willing to take tough steps for peace, and they've always had rejection on the other side, and the other side has typically chosen war. So that's the cycle. So I would not push Israel to grant statehood to people that don't recognize their right to exist as a Jewish state.
Well, Palestinian Authority does, but I hear you personally do not support that. Let me ask you about something here at home when it comes to the U.S. border. And there's talk right now about the need to provide more aid. You in the past to the U.S. border. You in the past have said you would authorize the U.S. military to go to the U.S. border and shoot cartel members. You told my colleague Nora O'Donnell, quote, "When somebody's got a backpack on and they're breaking through the wall, you know that's hostile intent and you have every right to take action under those circumstances." Can you explain how that would work? Would a soldier have to ask his commanding officer for permission before he shoots anyone wearing a backpack? backpack, or is this just a blanket shoot anyone with a backpack?
Well, first, cartels are invading this country, and they are killing tens of thousands of our fellow citizens with fentanyl. And this is happening in communities all across our country. We have every right and duty to fight back against that. It's typical how you would have with law enforcement or military. You define rules of engagement. They positively identify somebody that's hostile, either action or intent, and they engage. But we are going to engage. The days of our communities being ravaged by fentanyl are going to be over. Yes, we're going to stop the invasion. Yes, we're going to build the wall. We're going to do all those things. We'll deport people when they come illegally. But you have to hold the cartels accountable, and I'll do that as commander-in-chief.
Well, I think a lot of Americans would support that, given how terrible fentanyl is. But in terms of the specific proposal here, how would you differentiate who's a threat? How would you say shoot people wearing backpacks?
Okay, here we go. Okay, can you hear me now? Oh no, we might actually. Why are you going to be so mean to these people bringing fentanyl over the border? Do you see? Do you see? This is Face the Nation, and this is Margaret Brennan. This is the weekly Lib talk show. Okay, and DeSantis is handling this perfectly. But you see, here she is. She's nothing about the fact that Hamas terrorists went in and killed 12, 13, 1,400 innocent Jews, maybe even some Christians, maybe even some Arabs could have been in there with them, okay? Because at a music festival, people get along, all right? And then all these creeps come in and start gunning people down. Is she concerned with that? No. She's concerned with, oh my goodness, we need to be nice to them. Is Israel really going to go in and are they gonna occupy that area? No. Do they have a stated objective? Yes, wipe out Hamas. He said this. There's no stated objective in Ukraine. Ukraine is just keep giving them money, keep giving them money. In Ukraine, there's no objective. And DeSantis says this over and over again. There's no objective there, okay? It's a never-ending money pit. It's like when you keep giving money to your damn homeowners association in a condo, and they're like, oh, well, we need to do this now. Well, we need to do that now. Well, we need that. And then they go out to fancy dinners, and they keep raising your monthly condo fee, and then they want to special assess you. And this is what's going on. These are Ukrainian special assessments, okay? And there's no end in sight. There's no, okay, here's our goal. Once we reach this goal, it's over. And DeSantis is saying that. She's saying that's not the case in Israel. Yes, it is the case in Israel. The stated goal is wipe out Hamas. And, she's basically here, and, we get lectures from these libs on anti-Semitism all the time, but here they are siding with drug lords, siding with the people that want to kill Jews, okay? So, and I know it was muted before, but what I was saying was, look, with DeSantis, he answers these questions of these lib reporters perfectly. He answers them concisely. He sticks to his guns. He doesn't fall into their trap. He stays clear with his answers, and we don't have to worry about cleanup on aisle Trump. If it's Trump, he starts whining and carrying on. He says when he goes off prompter, that's why you're not seeing Trump on Deface the Nation, because he can't handle being off of a teleprompter. He'll say something stupid or crazy, and then what does he do later? He goes on True Social and does a 3-page all caps rant about how the host was mean. Okay, DeSantis understands where this person stands, and he knows how to handle it. Here we go. This is the final part of this interview here.
Well, Margaret, when you're down at the border, I mean, you see, like, the cartels will actually have lookouts where they'll just bring people across. They will have, yes, they will be carrying
how do you know what's in the backpack?
Different types of. Well, you have to make those judgments based on intelligence and all the other things that you do. But I can tell you this. Once you show the willingness to actually take this threat seriously, you are going to change their behavior. They're eating our lunch at the border right now because we don't do anything to fight back. That's going to change on January 20th, 2025.
Governor, thank you for coming on the program today. We hope you'll come back, and we'll be right back.
All right. And there we go. Okay. And with DeSantis, you don't have to worry about cleanup on aisle Trump and these type things. And he says this great here. And here we go with DeSantis talking about refugees, because of course now they want to tell us that, oh, you got to bring in, America has to bring in refugees from these countries. And he's saying, look, these are people that will come in. They hate America. They are brought up to hate America. Because look, in those schools, they teach you to hate America. Okay? All right. And we go over here to all right, here is DeSantis saying, if you don't like this country, you should get out. All right, good call. He's on the blaze. Let's go.
And as I'm looking at those protests and those demonstrations in these cities where these people are cheering Hamas, who has beheaded infants, raped women, assassinated elderly people, the barbarism is the most disgusting thing I've seen. You look at ISIS, you look at Al-Qaeda, I don't think they went to this depth for what Hamas is doing. So we have people that are cheering that. And my view is nobody has a right to come to this country. And if you don't like this country, then you should get out of this country. You should not be allowed to come here in the first place if you don't share the values of the United States of America. And I think we've allowed people to come in illegally who reject our values, but I think we've also allowed people to come legally who reject our values. And if we don't have any type of common currency that ties us together as a people, this country's just not going to succeed. So yes, I'd be strong on legal immigration to make sure that we're vetting people that are coming in. And the only reason to have people come in is because it benefits the United States of America and our people. It's not because you have an entitlement as a foreign citizen to come in.
And there you go. And, he's saying that, look, the Arab countries can take these guys. And we saw this with Ukraine. It was, we got to have, America's got to open its doors to people. America's got to allow all these people in. And, but here, we got people that mean us harm. And we got a border that's open, people that mean us harm coming in. Here's DeSantis.
How do you feel about I understand the soap opera drama. Are you saying that is Donald Trump? I mean, he has praised Hezbollah, saying they're very smart.
Amongst others,
He
yeah. I mean, I think
Israel.
I
slammed
think
Benjamin Netanyahu. How do you feel about those comments?
So with the Bibi, attacking Bibi was a huge mistake. And he harbors resentment to Bibi because Bibi congratulated Biden after the 2020 election. So it was personal for him to come out and take shots at Bibi just days after Israel had suffered the worst terrorist attack in its history. A leader should rise above that. Even if you have personal grievances, rise above that, show solidarity, and do what's best for the overall effort. So you aren't going to see me taking pot shots at these leaders, especially leaders that have been strong allies of the United States of America. But I think that was an example of Donald Trump taking his issues and projecting that on to this current situation in a way that was a distraction and was not helpful at all. As a president, you've got to be willing to let a lot of that stuff go under the bridge. You can't respond to everything you perceive as a personal slight. You got to rise above that. You got to look higher, and you got to focus on what's best for the American people.
I mean, and here's Cavuto. He's obviously on the side of Trump, and they're mad that DeSantis dared to point out that Trump praised Hezbollah and that he left Israel out to dry at a time when they need us the most. It was disgusting what Trump did. And of course, I made this prediction, and I made this prediction on July 29th that some type of earth-changing event will happen between now and January that will reveal the truth, strength, and character of Ron DeSantis to all America. It'll shift everything in his favor as the whole country watches him handle it with the appearance of great ease. I didn't know it was going to be a terrorist attack like this, but I knew that something would happen because all we heard with the Trump deal was the polls, the polls, they're very bad. The polls. I mean, remember when all they were doing was just everything was poll. It's just, I can't even believe I was ever on the side of some of these people. You know, they're just mean, angry, nasty little people. But look, now we know what it is. I mean, it was a earth-changing event of all earth-changing events. It was Israel's 9/11. And it's gotten worse than 9/11. I mean, look, you know, you've got this stuff going on here. And these guys are Trump supporters. The Brits for Trump, I call them. You know, it's just all this. And now it's like after 9/11, people were keeping it a secret. But now people are not. They're just straight up telling you exactly who they are. Everybody's seeing who they are. And, you know, it's a shame seeing people like Cavuto and these people that are like trying to still make excuses for Trump. I just can't understand this. DeSantis will be on Levin tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Yes, I know Levin sucks on Trump's butt cheek all day long, but he also does give DeSantis the ability to talk, and he is fair with him. This week, DeSantis, he was on News Radio WFLA this morning in Des Moines. It's going to air in Des Moines. He was interviewed he's doing a lot of interviews with local people, which is very important because you might not know who Chris Ryan is, but people in New Hampshire do. Okay, he's going to be interviewed by Guy Benson on Fox News Radio tonight. Tonight at 9, DeSantis will be on Sean Hannity. All right. So they're bungling this whole evacuation from Israel, and DeSantis is going in there and he's doing it like a pro. DeSantis Airlines, and he does care. I've never witnessed somebody like DeSantis who cared like DeSantis does. Okay, this is what leadership looks like right here.
Flights in and out of Israel. Most major airlines canceled flights in and out of Israel after those Hamas attacks. But here in Florida, the DeSantis administration launched evacuation operations. And last night, we met with folks who finally made it home, and we heard their stories.
Today, more than 270 Americans evacuated from Israel are back in the United States, arriving in Tampa overnight on the first flight to return to the U.S. in an operation organized by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
It's very emotional to be here, to be away from all of that.
91 of the passengers arriving last night were children.
These kids are having to dodge rockets. These kids are having terrorists come after them. Not the way this world should be.
The Gobiovs spent much of the last week huddled in a Jerusalem bomb shelter with their toddler.
Can you describe the level of fear right now, the level of fear that you had while you were in Israel, and the level of fear in your community?
So on a physical sense, we're very thankful that we're here. We are very blessed that we had a governor, we have a Hashem that got us here. I mean, God took care of everything. But on an emotional level, it is very overwhelming to be in a situation of where you have a fear of your life.
For many, the homecoming is joyful, but the heartache isn't over. Liat Paradise was in Tel Aviv when the war began.
So much. It's so much heartbreak to leave everything so suddenly and everything you love. And I haven't gotten to say goodbye to a single person. I'm worried. You know, all of my friends are out there serving. My cousin is on the front lines in Gaza, you know.
And Hoda, as we heard from those folks, a lot of Americans still stranded there, having a hard time making their way out of the country. Now, this operation was all part of an executive order allowing the state of Florida to carry this out. It was part of a partnership with Project Dynamo, which is a veteran-led search and rescue nonprofit. More flights are expected today and throughout the week, bringing Americans home to the state.
There you go. And DeSantis knows how to do this. Like, he doesn't bungle it. He does it, and he even has mainstream media doing positive. This is the Today Show, okay? The Today Show. I don't watch any of this stuff. I wouldn't know about it unless it was posted up here. But you've got, he's doing competent leadership, confident, coherent leadership, and he's getting the job done, and he's doing it, showing it, looking like it's easy. He's doing the job of the president at the border. He's doing everything he can with his power as governor, with bringing people home to DeSantis Airlines. It's just sad that people have to flee Israel. I mean, Americans having to flee Israel. Israel is very special, okay? They're the only country that was given that land by God, okay? They're God's jewel. They're God's chosen people. Whether or not you agree with all their policies or not, okay? Read the Bible. There were many wicked kings, okay, in ancient Israel. Israel had many, many problems, and it's all in the Bible. That's how you know the Bible's true. It's not written to make Israel look like they were so great, because they ended up in exile because of sins that they did, but God is always with them. And I was reading the book of Ezra, and it's about the Israelites, the ancient Israelites, returning from exile in Babylon to go back, or this is when the Persian king was over them, which is interesting because that's Iran, and the Persian king allowed them to go back to rebuild the temple, and then some jerks came and were trying to stir stuff up, and then they got the order rescinded to rebuild the temple, and then God came to the rescue and stood with them. And this is where it comes in, that God is with Israel, okay? God's always been with Israel. Even when they don't do right, God is with Israel. God is with Israel now. And that's who I want to be with. I mean, this is just seeing this. I mean, if you can take the religious aspect out of it, but you really can't, because that's so crucial in all this. But you've got lib media speaking good about DeSantis, okay? You've got because nobody can say, hey, look, I mean, he brought these guys home. You can't argue with the results, okay? Trump just whines on and on and on, and there's no results. He's all blah blah blah, all talk. Check this out on DeSantis on bringing people in from Gaza. Okay, let's go.
We got to start facing reality as a country. We've got to be honest and look at this stuff. It's just like Iran. Biden had tried to have a rapprochement with Iran, right? They gave him oil revenue, all this stuff that's led to the funding of Hamas and everything. Iran has an ideology. The ideology is to destroy Israel, to kill Jews. America, they think, is the great Satan. That's their ideology. You're not going to be able to have a rapprochement of that. So just take that for what it is. And I will challenge anyone to say that in some of these countries that virulent anti-Semitism is not the norm. If you're not willing to acknowledge that, then you've got your head in the sand. That is how folks think in many of those countries in this part of the world. That's just a fact. I think it's sad. I think it's unfortunate. I think a lot of it's from the education. But to act like a lot of those people are really there and that they acknowledge Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state and all that, that's just not true. That's just not what we're dealing with here. And I think anybody that's ever surveyed public opinion in any of those places would say that what I've said is just an accurate description of that. And then the question is, first of all, it's not our role to be absorbing people from there. But you got to look going forward, apart from this, if people are bringing in things, anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, to me, that would be a reason why you don't get admission to this country to begin with. The whole thing that's supposed to unite us is we have common values about God-given rights, limited government, all those things. Some of this stuff is totally toxic. Obviously, that part of the world has had a lot of toxicity over many, many decades, and we just have to acknowledge that. So don't go running interference for some of the views there. They're bad views. It's sad. Israel's in a very hostile neighborhood.
We have enough toxic people over here, and he's absolutely right. They're taught from a very young age in their schools in the Gaza Strip, which is their government is Hamas. That's the government that they have. They have a terrorist government. So it's no different from ISIS. They're the kind of people that chop people's heads off and stuff like that. All right, and they're taught in schools, the children, that Israel's Satan, and that they don't belong there and they have no right to exist, and that killing them is good. That's what they're taught. DeSantis understands this. And then you've got the libs that are always like, we, all these Nazis everywhere. And you have a Nazi rally in Orlando, as bad as that is, and as horrible as those guys are, and there's usually only like 15 or 20 of them, okay, and they're all wearing masks. And they, actually, one of them was arrested. DeSantis signed some anti-Semitism laws here that were pretty controversial. But you see the libs, they're always going, well, what about the Nazis? Well, what about the Nazis? And then they'll turn around and then allow people that actually do practice the killing of Jews and say, oh, let's bring them into the country. I don't think so. And if Biden starts wanting to bring these guys in, oh my goodness, it's going to piss people off. It's going to, and I mean, this is a layup. If we put DeSantis up as the Republican nominee, this is a layup. Okay. Where is Trump on all this? I mean, he bungled this. I mean, he absolutely disqualified himself on this. And I thought DeSantis does a great job with lib media. Does a great job. Trump is broke, okay? Trump is broke. He raised just $142,000 from individual donors in his PAC in Q3 and spent $9.5 million during that period. 98% of the money he reported on hand is simply a transfer of cash from one hand to another. Like with Trump, Donald Trump for president 2024 is nothing but a shell game, okay? He's not bringing in all these donations from small donors, okay? He's transferring money from one place, bringing it to another, and then claiming that that's what he raised, okay? It's all a shell game with him, just like it always is, okay? And there was another post on this, and I'm happy for all the people that are watching, okay? You know, and I love doing these roundups. I do this as really a service to you. This isn't for my own personal glory or anything. I just like to do a roundup of the things DeSantis is saying. It helps me too, because when I talk it and when I say it out loud and when I actually watch the clips, absorb them, read them, then it puts things into perspective for me too. And I hope it does the same for you too. So if you like and share, you know, I'm not paid to do this or anything. I do this as a service. If you'd like and share, that would be great. But there was another post that I shared here. The Q3 numbers. Okay, Dustin McElrath. I really like his posts here. I think he does a great job. Who's the real candidate of the people? Quarterly FEC filings revealed DeSantis has raised 82 times more than Trump from individual contributions. Okay, Trump 107,000, DeSantis 8 million. Okay, DeSantis is the guy that the people are behind. Okay, nearly all of Trump's donations came from a transfer from his super PAC. Okay, so he's just like with the polls. Just like with the Rich Barris polls and all these other stupid polls, it's all just a shell game, okay? Trump's not doing any rallies. He's not doing public appearances except for Club 45, and then he had a disaster. He's not doing interviews. You don't see him on Deface the Nation. You don't see him on these shows because he can't go off prompter, okay? People are putting the money behind DeSantis, all right? People are putting it behind DeSantis. Now, check this out. Because if you've been listening and watching this, you know that I've been calling out that Trump on a prompter. Because I noticed that with Club 45. When he goes off prompter, he looks to the left, he's on the prompter, he looks to the right, he's reading what they're telling him to read, okay? And but when he looks in the middle and looks at you, he goes, BB, such a jackass. I mean, when he says like stuff like people, and you know, the people that actually care and know how bad that looks are like cringing when he looks straight ahead. Because then he does this little thing where he reads what he's supposed to read, and then he looks ahead, and then he says who he really is. Obama did the same thing. Obama would read his speeches, and then when he would go off prompter, he'd start like quoting the Communist Manifesto, and people were like, "Shut up!" And it was like, that's how they show you who it really is. DeSantis doesn't use a prompter because he is who he says he is. Okay, that's called having integrity. Integrity coming from the root word integer. Okay, meaning one, whole. DeSantis is whole. You're not going to get one DeSantis over here and another one over here, okay? Sure, I'm sure when he's home, he talks to his wife differently than he's going to talk in front of the cameras. That's normal. But he's not going to go home and talk to his wife and be a completely different person, okay? Because people that are hypocrites like that, they can't help but show you who they are eventually, all right? Finally, DeSantis taking the gloves off. This is great. And going after Trump for his teleprompter use. Okay, here we go.
President Trump seemed to walk back some of his comments on Israel this afternoon, tweeting hashtag I stand with BB and praising the military. Do you have any reaction to that? Do you think that, why he's walking back those comments?
Look, I mean, I think we have the Donald Trump on the teleprompter where he's reading what's on there. Then you have the Donald Trump when he gets off that teleprompter, and that's the real Donald Trump when he starts speaking about those things. And so he attacked Bibi after the country suffered the worst attack it's had in its modern history, when they're just created a war government. They're preparing to do a ground invasion in Gaza, and he did that because Bibi congratulated Biden in November. That's why he did it. He hates Netanyahu because of that.
Whoa.
That's about him. That's not about the greater good of what Israel's trying to do or American security. And so I think it's fine to kind of clean up and do all that. I would say, go out, get rid of your teleprompter. Don't use that as a crutch. Go to debates. Show up and debate for 2 hours. And then we'll be able to see kind of where he's really coming from. So we've seen over the course, every interview, every time he's gotten off the teleprompter for like the last 2 months, they've had to clean things up for what he's saying. So I just want to see, the Donald Trump, this is a different Donald Trump. In 2016, he was freewheeling, he's out there, barnstorming the country, doing all this. Now it's just a different guy. And it's sad to see.
It is, because he is a different guy now. I mean, this isn't the same Trump. He's not doing like massive rallies. He's not going off cuff and really connecting with people. He's saying crazy stuff. And, he seems to be losing his marbles a little bit. I don't know if it's from taking too many boosters or from old age, or maybe he's taking something else. I don't know. Maybe he was lying to us before and he's getting worse at lying. Because some people, they can't really like hide who they are anymore. Because a lot of stuff that Trump stole a lot of that build the wall stuff from Ann Coulter. Okay, he took a lot of things. He lifted material from other people and put it all together. And when he was campaigning in 2016, 2020, but he was doing rallies everywhere. Now he's like, I don't have to, and I don't need a debate. And he's not going to. He's not going to show up to this third debate. That should disqualify him right there from refusing to debate. And DeSantis is finally really calling him out on that. And that's great because there's DeSantis on the megaphone there. There's Javier videoing him. That was great. And this is great. These are nice, small groups of people. But look, it's like they're attentive. Look, when you see DeSantis, look at this picture here, okay? People go, oh, look, that's not even close to how many people Trump would bring. Well, why doesn't Trump have a rally? He doesn't have to. He doesn't owe it to you or anybody. There's DeSantis. Look at how attentive everybody is there. This is the day that Israel got attacked and he got on that megaphone and Javier got that great video of him. And, they're listening to him and he's there saying, I stand with Israel. I mean, that's we need moral clarity right now. And this is all Trump could muster out right here. Yeah, Susie Wiles has his phone. Susie Wiles had to take his phone to write these two beautiful hashtags right there. Right. But, is this not creepy?
I need to reverse this decline, and I'm winning because every day more and more Americans are waking up to what an utter disaster.
This is Kerry Lake's Senate announcement. What the hell is this? His giant orange face on the screen. I mean, it's like, remember, have you ever seen the movie 1984? That's what it reminds me of. It's like, oh, God. People in the audience aren't looking at that going, oh, isn't that creepy? But it's clear as day that DeSantis is the leader we need. Okay, here he is, another interview today. He is in Iowa, and what DeSantis is doing, it's called the full Grassley, okay? Chuck Grassley is a senator from Iowa. He's like 90 years old. He's been a senator since like I was born, but he's still beloved in Iowa. We need term limits, man. But Grassley has done a lot of good things, okay? He was judicial oversight or something. He fought a lot of battles. He's getting up there in age now though, but he's still in the Senate. But the full Grassley is visiting every single county in Iowa. There's 99 counties in Iowa. So what DeSantis is doing, he's up to 80 counties, and that's what he's doing this week, is getting through that to get up to 99 counties, going and showing. Trump, did he go to any counties? He doesn't have the energy to. He's not going to do it, and he doesn't think he has to. DeSantis is going and doing this, and he's barnstorming the state of Iowa. And the Democrats have shut out Iowa. They're like, Iowa's not going to be our first caucus state anymore because it's too white, basically, is what they said. It's too many white people there. But it's middle America, and the Iowa caucus is important because it samples like middle America. It's not like, oh, I'm going to see what people in Miami think, or New York City, or Los Angeles, or no, it's Iowa is like middle America. This is who decides our elections. That's why we have the Electoral College. That's why we have these things. And DeSantis is going to all 99 counties, and he's getting up, he's getting close, and he's going to do it. I don't know the last candidate that did that. Here he is talking about the war in Israel. And you know what? I don't even know what he says here, but I know every time with DeSantis, I can hit play and I know it's going to be something good and not like clean up on aisle Trump.
Governor, if there's an undecided voter out there, they really like former President Trump, but they're considering you. What is the message to that voter that might still be persuadable?
Well, one, I can serve 2 terms. He can't. He'd be a lame duck. 2, I'm more likely to get elected. He won Florida by 3. I won Florida by 20. And then 3, everything I promised, I delivered on. At this point, we know what we need to do. We need somebody that's going to be disciplined and focused and is going to get the job done on 100% of issues, and I'm that guy.
Governor, if there's an undecided voter out there, they really like former President Trump, but they're considering you. What is the message to that voter that might still be persuadable?
Well, one, I can serve 2 terms. He can't. He'd be a lame duck. 2, I'm more likely to get elected. He won Florida by 3. I won Florida by 20. And then 3, everything I promised, I delivered on. At this point, we know what we need to do. We need somebody that's going to be disciplined and focused and is going to get the job done on 100% of issues, and I'm that guy.
Guys,
Governor,
now is the time. All right? We're not going to get another shot at this. You know? And then you got this going on. This clown show in the House of Representatives. Where, they go, we're going to get Jim Jordan in there. Jim Jordan, by the way, he's like 60 years old. I mean, none of these guys are young. DeSantis is my age. He's like 42, 43. We need younger guys. We need people that have young children, that represent people that have young children. There's a whole new generation of people that have young children and that want to leave something to those kids. We don't need more grandpas, okay, and great-grandpas, all right? Their kids are grown, all right? We need people to represent our generation, okay? But I'm not saying Kevin McCarthy was great, but look what we got going on over there now. And it makes Republicans look silly. Jim Jordan's probably not going to become House Speaker. He doesn't have the votes. Even with Hannity's endorsement. Oh, wow, Hannity's endorsement. There's a leadership vacuum right now. And instead of being leaders, Gates is in my generation. Instead of being a leader, Gates has decided he wants to grift off the Trump thing and create chaos. Because chaos helps these guys. And I was talking about this. And I called out the Trump teleprompter thing. Then the next, an hour later, I see DeSantis calling it out. He sees the same things. I don't think DeSantis watches me, or that maybe he does. I don't know. But I think he sees the same things. Because a lot of this stuff is obvious. A lot of this stuff is very obvious. It's obvious when you look at Trump, he's deteriorating mentally. And the whole thing with what's going on in the House of Representatives, good luck with that, man. Good luck getting the votes. They're gonna need to bring in Democrats. And the Democrats are going to end up deciding who our speaker is. And it's probably not going to be anything anybody likes or anybody knows. It's probably going to be some guy that, oh, gee, that guy, man, he's worse than McCarthy. That's probably how it's going to end up. But, they got the glory that they wanted and the fundraising they wanted, and that's what we're after. DeSantis isn't like that. He's not like Matt Gaetz. DeSantis is a serious person. And that's what we need now, guys. Please like and share this around. I'll be back tomorrow covering whatever DeSantis is doing. He is in South Carolina on Thursday and Friday. I posted what he's doing this week. In Iowa, doing the full Grassley. Until then, doing interviews. And I'll cover it all here on the Re-Up and Chris live stream. This is Chris Nelson. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless Israel.